Hello and welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV. I'm Dan and today we have player ratings. But first, I just want to remind you that today's video is sponsored by Match Bingo. Match Bingo is a football bingo app. It allows you to place a bet on random events that could happen in a game of football and you could win big money up to £175 off of just a £2 bet. It's a great way to have fun. You don't need to be super knowledgeable about football, but what you do need to do is download the app through the link in our description right now. Download the link right now from our description to play Match Bingo. You have to make sure to remember to gamble responsibly. Terms and conditions do apply, but it can be a lot of fun. We're getting back into match ratings now, player ratings it is. We are looking at an abysmal performance against Sheffield United. Honestly, I'm fed up with this Chelsea side. I'm fed up having to do player ratings, and I go through the ratings. I go, I don't know if that's low enough. I don't know if I'm being harsh enough here, because how can we go and put in all that effort against Manchester United and then throw it all away against Sheffield United? It's almost what is expected from this Chelsea side now. We are consistently inconsistent, like I've said before. And actually, if you were going to predict anything, you could be pretty sure that we wouldn't turn up against Sheffield United. And we've struggled. Now, let's start off with the keeper. But before I do that, let's just remind everyone that Pochettino is purely at fault for today. Yes, the players haven't been good enough, but he's tried a system that a lot of these players have never played in. He played more players out of position, misprofiled more players again. I just think he got it incredibly wrong in a game that he just didn't need to mess around with and meddle with, you know. He just really didn't need to do that. So, let's have a think, shall we, about Petrovic in goal. Because we're saying this is our number one, but going forward, I don't think that can stay. I don't think he is good enough to be our number one. I think there's too many limitations to his game, kicking notably. And now we're starting to see mistakes happen that are very simple for a goalkeeper to prevent, I would say. And that being beaten at your near post is not good enough. He's diving across before the shot's even taken and he opens up his near post completely. I'm giving him a 4. Not excusable, horrific decision making. Let's move on to the defence. Now, we saw the return of Disasi at right back and we all know how that's gone. And unfortunately for Disasi, I feel sorry for him that he keeps being asked to play there. I actually feel like after everyone that's available, he's still the least suited player to play at right back. I think Chalobah and I don't know, but you can't not be open to playing Gilchrist against the worst team in the Premier League if he's good enough to be a Chelsea player, if he's signing a deal like that. If he's not good enough, then he's not good enough. Because if you go back to last season, Lewis Hall would have played. And he was good enough, and that's the issue I have. Let's look at Disasi. He was poor. He got beat. He can't get up and down the line well enough there. It's been a while since he's played right back as well. Who's expecting a good performance from him? You know, like what can he do? Seriously, I'm going to give Disasi a 4. I just feel like it wasn't a good game for him, and I feel like a lot of it isn't his own fault in a way because he's being asked to play in such a ridiculous position. Thiago Silva returns to the team. Someone I've sort of been calling out for the last few weeks because we've been conceding so many goals. Nothing changed. Let's be real. He scored a good goal and I thought that was going to be the start of the game and we would build up from there, be stronger from there, kill off this game. Didn't do it. It was shocking. Defence still wasn't much more organised. And the players just don't look good enough. I'm going to give Thiago Silva a 6 because he scored a goal and I feel like he's probably the best defender in this Chelsea side, if we're being honest. But you can tell that when he's not been playing for a bit, it's taken him a while to get back up to speed, which is something that never used to really be the case with him. Let's move on to Trev. Trev had another sort of woeful game for me. I actually feel like it's fair to say Trev got bullied by Ollie McBurney, which is horrific because he's like an awful striker. He's not good enough to be playing in the Premier League, in my opinion, and we've let him score today, and he did bully Trevor Chalobah. For that reason, Trev gets a 4 from me. We move on to left back, Cucurella. Straight off the bat, a 4. Pochettino stitched Cucurella up today. Big time. Like, really, really out of order stitch up. Because He played Conor Gallagher in front of him, who is not a left winger, who wanted to play inside, didn't want to give any width to the pitch. And I don't know whether or not Conor was asked to do that or not. However, what it meant was Cucurella had to consistently do two people's jobs all game. And he just wasn't able to apply himself to the main job that he had to do yesterday, which was defending. And we saw for the first goal, he's completely worried about what's going on in front of him with Conor Gallagher, that he's almost switched off a bit to what Bogle was doing around him and the pass that was coming by him. And Bogle just gets in and around him without any, there's no effort from Cucurella, but Bogle got round him with ease. So yeah, not a good game for him, but in my opinion, the fullbacks were a little bit stitched up. And at times it didn't even look like it was a 4 and it looked like a 3, and it was just a mess yesterday, and Poch killed that defence with those tactics. Let's move on to the midfield. Enzo, fantastic game against Manchester United. I ran out of superlatives. Today he gets a 4. His performance dropped off the face of a cliff. I don't even think that's the right saying, but you know what I mean. It couldn't be further from that Manchester United performance. I think he gave the ball away over 20 times. He had a shocking game. His pass accuracy was below 80%, which is not acceptable for a Premier League midfielder against Sheffield United. He wasn't creative. That's kind of shown in the fact we created 6 or 7 chances all game. We were woeful. We were not the better team against the worst team in the league, which is the biggest issue I have. If we've been caught lacking a couple of times, but we've been dominating that game, I might be able to accept it a bit more, but no. We were genuinely the worst team against the worst team in the league. And the lack of creativity from that midfield in Enzo is a big issue. Move over to Caicedo. His standard didn't really change that much from the Manchester United game, apart from it was against worse opposition. He gave the ball away about 17, 18 times as well. And for me, it's a 4. He just looked way off it as well. But I think the feeling I had was Enzo got up to a good level and then dropped again, whereas Caicedo has had a couple of stinkers in a row. So they both sit on 4s. We'll move over to the right wing, where we had Noni Madueke, a player that I feel like was probably livid that he didn't get much game time against Man United. Well, I'm gonna give him a 6 today. I feel like wasn't outstanding for the majority of the game, was good. He took his goal very well. Looked like a bit of a B-Tech Robin cutting inside there, and the way he absolutely levered it into the goal. I don't mind that about him. He's definitely got that, but there's this ego that Madueke's got that I think he really needs to brush aside. So yeah, not quite good enough to get up into the 7s and above, but a 6 is okay. I felt like he'd scored the winner at that point, but obviously it wasn't to be. A disappointing afternoon, but he was probably one of the better players. We move over to Cole Palmer, who occupied the sort of false 9-10 slot. I don't really think this position works that well for him. I'm going to give Cole a 6 as well. He managed to get an assist, but I feel like he's not really in the game as much as he can be in sort of that right-hand side position that he's been in, or when he's actually played a little bit deeper as a 10. I feel like he's been a bit better. When he's asked to go and be higher up, it just doesn't really work. I don't like that role for him. I don't know why Poch felt like it was a good game to play Palmer in a different position and expect something from him. When we just need to win games. So yeah, look, he gets a 6 because I still think his standard's quite high, but it's not close to where he's been at really. Still managed to get an assist on the board though. We move over to Conor Gallagher. I'm going to give Conor a 5. He was out of position, first of all. However, there's a couple of issues I have with Conor off the ball yesterday that I really noticed. He actually didn't look like he wanted to work as hard as he normally does in the midfield. And I don't know whether that's because he felt out of it. I don't know whether he felt uncomfortable in that position. Whoever thought that was a good position for him is delusional. It just doesn't suit his game whatsoever. Defensively, later on in the game, he was letting players go. There's a chance where Petrovic made a good save at the end of the game. Gallagher completely lost his man. I felt like he was way off it. The one thing I will say, though, compared to his other sort of midfield counterparts, is that he actually only lost the ball 7 times, which is it kind of just shows that he is a little bit more sensible with what he's trying to do, and he kind of prioritises ball retention rather than creativity. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. Probably shows that he wasn't taking enough risks yesterday, but way out of position. We moved to Jackson. I'm giving him a 4. I just feel like it was an awful game for him. I think he looked okay against Man United, and then yesterday he was so far off it. Didn't look like scoring, didn't look a threat. Doesn't like playing against the smaller teams, I'd almost say. It's like he doesn't know how to play against these defenders that are a little bit more physical or give him a bit more of a battle. He just kind of shies away from it. We'll move on to the subs as well. We obviously saw Carney come on. I'm going to give him a 5. I feel like he didn't have much to do. He was obviously on the longest out of all the subs, but yeah, he looks okay, and I do want to see a little bit more of him, hence why I'm not going to go really harsh with his rating. Mudryk came on. Wow, what an uneventful performance for him. Obviously wasn't long either, but he's such a confusing player, and I think he's woeful, and I genuinely cannot have him in this Chelsea side if he's going to turn up 1 in every 10 games against a lower level opposition. And he couldn't do anything yesterday to make an impact, so I'm giving him a 4. We had Badashile come on. This annoys me so much with Pochettino. He tried to waste time with his substitutions, which doesn't even happen anymore. Because if you try and waste time with your subs, they just add it on now, right? That doesn't really work, that method, anymore. It used to kind of kill the time, but it just didn't. He brought on Badashile for that goal that ended up costing us the win and making it a draw, was all over the place, it's just so off it at the moment. Why would you bring a defender on at that stage of the game? It's just beyond me. I know they were starting to sort of hoof balls up into the box, but he almost made it more confusing. I'm giving him a 2 because I feel like he actually had enough impact on the game to deserve a rating. It was just so negative. And we also saw Casaday come on. Looked like a bit of a headless chicken. Obviously goes out to try and stop the cross. For that goal, was all over the place, but it's just not really fair to give him a rating, so I'm going to give him no rating. An absolute shambles. Pochettino gets a 1. It's on him completely for this game, and I'll be honest, I can't fathom why you would make so many changes when you just got a result against Manchester United. We've played a completely different way. We played a completely different system. It just shows that he's way off it tactically. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you're enjoying the content on Chelsea Fan TV, make sure to like the video and don't forget to download Match Bingo in our description. I will catch you in the next one. Hopefully by then, Pochettino's out the door. I'll see you in a bit.